This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. November 16th, 9 a.m. Public comment.
I've already delivered it to you. If you want to
Thank you.
Is it okay to have
Yeah,
him
please.
speak into the microphone for the meeting? She
Oh,
would
the online
attend in her
meeting.
home.
Okay. Saturday at 1 o'clock, we did something a little unusual. We posted an editorial which allowed people to make comments on it. And we had to promise that we would deliver these comments this morning. You'll find the list of unedited, 88 comments that came in. And when I say unedited, you'll notice somebody even misspelled the name of Hillsborough. We had probably 2 of them in there that are opposed to this. But as a business owner, I can say that it is imperative, in my opinion, that the county adopt a mask mandate and enforce that mandate and limits on public gatherings. The alternative is going to be shutting down completely, which no one can afford. And it's not reasonable to a business owner to expect the business owner to enforce this mask mandate on themselves. Who is going to turn down business at a time like this? So that's the thrust of the thing. I'll let the comments speak for themselves, and you all should have copies of it. I will say that our website normally gets a lot of traffic on Wednesdays and Thursdays. On weekends, it's our lowest time for traffic, so getting 88 signatures in our low time is a pretty substantial number. So, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. All right, we got a couple.
Laura asked who was speaking, and that was Eric Meyer with Hope Publishing. That was just the question that
Yeah.
came in on
Yeah, I was
Speech
looking
bubble.
at it.
the, okay.
Okay, is there any other public comments? Okay.
I did put one on the table for you.
Okay.
That was an email that came in.
Somebody need to read it into the minutes, or can we just file it for the minutes?
It doesn't necessarily need to be read out. You can if you want to.
Okay. Well,
It was just a request to provide that to you.
okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make an adjustment on the agenda, if we're done with public comments.
Yeah,
Ron,
go ahead and
you're
close
up.
public comments.
I'm sorry?
Let's close public
I
comments.
thought so, okay. So Ron Urock won't be here today. He did get that issue solved. So we'll remove that from the agenda.
Okay.
When we're talking about adjusting the agenda here, Gina, I forgot to walk in and ask you ahead of the meeting, did a department head turn in a incident report that happened to him?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to have a executive session put on the agenda for that issue. Is the legal counsel going to be here today?
I don't think so unless he needs to be.
Maybe a phone conversation with this issue, because I think it needs to be addressed by him.
Okay.
Yeah. And us too, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure we can get him on the phone. I think what his concern was is whether he needed to be here in person.
Right. Phone conversation, I think, on this deal would, just to give us some advice where we, as commissioners, stand for this, so.
Okay. All in favor of adding a executive session to the agenda?
Okay.
Aye.
If we make a move.
I just polling the council.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Making sure there's no.
Yeah. And you can put it to the last, before public comments and commission comments down there, maybe after Deidre.
Okay.
unless you want to fill with that empty spot for Ron, maybe, that's, I don't know if.
Well, I think we ought to give Bryce a little extra time.
Yeah, yeah, well, I did, yeah, yeah.
So, all right, close public comments, let's right into, Deidre's on the agenda, so I think we'll just let the COVID update go to there, just like we have been, so, let's start off with the administrative business.
Okay. The first thing that I have are the minutes of November 9.
I make a motion to approve unless somebody has some, discussion.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Randy, second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Joe.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I have pay estimate number 9 for the transfer station project for approval in the amount of $120,249.52.
Looked on here, what do we have left for Call Valley Engineering to pay?
Caw Valley is not on here, and we're above our contract with them right now, and they're just billing as they go.
Okay.
This is just for the contractor. On the Caw Valley, you probably do need to have a discussion about that.
Well,
because
that's where I-
and with them, because we're paying right now above what our contract said, so.
I don't know. Don't know what we need them for anymore.
I tend to agree.
Well, I think you still have to have
Yeah.
an engineering firm to sign off at the end, because for inspection.
Yeah,
We're looking at, if I see this right, estimated 16 days.
In December, whatever the date is.
I know where you're going with it, I just don't know if
Yeah.
cutting it off 16 days early is,
Okay.
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
just don't know.
Yeah, and agree, but I was trying to think what the final things coming up that they gotta do. That's what I'm thinking of.
Inspect the fence. When we put that up, everything else is done, so a couple stem walls.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to do the punch list, but
Yeah.
I don't know if our guys are actually doing the punch list. I noticed that they're taking notes and making sure that all these things get addressed, so.
Okay. Well, I didn't know whether we had any fee left for them or where we're at on that. Have to catch up.
Yeah, I
You
think-
say maybe we don't need them to do the final inspection?
Well, I
They
need to read the contract, see what they've got, how it's read there. And I don't mind going to the 16th either, but I think maybe extra expense, maybe we need to okay it before we do it.
It's not the 16th, but
You know,
16 more days.
From the date of this, which
Yeah.
was the 13th, so you're looking right around the 1st,
Yeah.
30th.
They told me down at, the help told me this week, and they're gonna start using it middle of this week.
Should be cured out a little bit.
I just It's gonna be cleanup and closing up the doors.
Okay.
We
I-
shouldn't need much oversight on that.
Should we invite Call Valley for next?
Yeah, we haven't seen them forever.
Yeah, I think we ought to.
See how we can wrap this project up.
And I don't know if we're cutting it too close by asking them to do it next week or.
Possible.
Let's shoot for it.
Yeah.
But if we don't, it'll be the end of the project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So.
yeah. I think that's needed to be put on there so we can talk with them, see how we're gonna wrap this project up.
Okay. And is that good enough as a staff directive for?
Yep, I heard already made a note to
Okay.
get a hold of them, see if they can come.
Thank you.
That's what you're-
All right. As far as the amount due to the contractor, I will make a motion to approve this pay estimate at $120,249.52.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, that was five. I don't know who I didn't catch.
Kent, did you vote?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't hear Dave, so.
Okay, 5-0. All right, there you go.
Yeah. Now block, that's why I stepped back, so I can let them people vote down there, see.
Yeah, I gotta hear Dave. I can watch Kent's mouth.
Wait, no.
After we put this mask Band-Aid on, you won't be able to. Easy now, easy.
You have a pen?
Yeah, I do. Randy got me.
Remember
Randy got in my head for a second there.
Can't hear, can't
Gotta have a little humor, we can't get
Yes.
that done. Right, Diane?
Why not?
I do have two salary sheets.
So we have a salary change for Corey Seacat for Road and Bridge, gravel, new equipment operator, number 1, from 0 to 2267 a month. Or, yeah. And then we got a salary change for Christina Weisner, jail, from 0 to 1308 an hour, new corrections officer.
Okay, in your packet, you actually had some reimbursements for the Spark funds that have been approved by the accounting firm. However, after the time we prepared the packet, we also got information, and the county treasurer had asked that we pay the grant funds out as well. And so those were not in your packet. The grand total that I had sent out was $41,063.62. But when we added all the grants that have been approved for payment, which you've already approved that list of grants. This is not all of them, by the way, there will be more. The grand total for these early checks is now $406,616.62. And I had put that out early so that you could take a look and go through those if you have any questions or anything like that. I apologize that we didn't get them to you ahead of time.
Any questions or concerns? Have a chance to look at it?
Already approved it.
Okay. And then make a motion to approve the Spark reimbursements, grand total payday of $406,616.62.
Second.
Second by Ken.
Sure.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Sorry, I don't know if she did a top page. I should look for that before I make you sign them all.
Yeah.
Let me see if she did just an overall cover page for you to sign.
Yeah.
Sign
We're
twice.
signing, buddy.
Oh, I was looking at the whole thing.
We
Oh,
got a
man.
rubber- We all have a rubber stamp.
I got one. Dave didn't have it.
Dave has to sign them all in.
Yeah.
It's not important if you.
Well, I know a guy that produced a rubber stamp. It's kind of ironic, the guy that can get them doesn't have one.
It's kind of outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
You're
see
the one that
that,
makes
so-
them.
Oh, dear.
Start signing. Sorry, yes, we'll sign them individually. Unless you want me to, if you want to wait until later in the meeting, I can go ahead and try to go prepare one. That's just a summary of all of them.
You gotta sign all of them.
There's like probably 40 sheets there to sign,
Let's do that.
which,
Unless you wanna.
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah,
okay, I'll do that.
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Gotta make one, we'll come back and do it.
All right, I will get that ready and bring that back in. And that is all I had on administrative.
So, on to Bryce.
Morning.
Morning.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever seen Randy smile so much in my life.
Got that perma smile.
Firmest, that's it.
You know why I'm smiling? Because you walked in.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You expect me to believe that too? Have a utility permit for signature. On Mustang between 290th and 300th. Not a problem.
Water.
Huh?
Water.
Yep. I reminded them to, they have to use casing and they agreed with that, so I believe the local contractor's doing it, so.
Okay. So, permit number 2020-20. That's been coming up a bit.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that 2020-20 was one of our ordered resolutions. Don't get confusing.
Just have the next one in line.
So, make a motion to go ahead and sign this by the chairman.
Then where was the water line at? You said 290 and 300, between 290 and 300.
On Mustang.
Okay.
Okay.
Out Dave's way.
Okay. Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
5-0.
Bryce, on that issue, what do you think, I mean, I don't know what the future holds in getting fiber throughout our county. This is coming down 56, going to Hillsborough,
Mhm.
coming into Marion up the other end, Pizza Hut up through there. What about, on that permit, the one I'm talking about, Greg, north of Lincolnville, where the box was right in our flow line?
Mhm.
How can we address that in these permits to keep that stuff from happening?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a piece of paper now, but by the time the line's laid and done, they might never know on there that that piece of paper says you cannot put this box, I mean, this is real water
Yeah,
here.
bottom of the ditch.
But they put it right in our flow line in the bottom of the ditch.
Honestly, I think it behooves them to keep them out of the bottom of the ditch themselves, because of all the water and debris and everything else that could go in there.
You would think.
I don't know if we just specifically say, we actually, that permit that we have there is actually retyped from the previous one. And so we could go in there as a Word document, add something in there to that effect, just to make sure. But like I said, that's the main thing, is I think it behooves them just to keep them out of the bottom of the ditch themselves if they're worried about contaminants and stuff like that in there. But we can sure add something in there for it to.
And then my second part of that question, is there anything else? I just seen that from locating lines right beside them.
Mhm.
But is there anything else that the grader operators are having troubles with on this kind of stuff going in?
No, most of the stuff today is going in my boring.
Yeah.
Just simply because it's quicker and
Right.
they know exactly where they're going when they trench. It's,
Okay.
you know, they gotta bury all the way through. I don't foresee anything, but we can always,
Okay, well,
you know,
keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know that, especially on the highway work, that the biggest problem that I obviously faced in the past too was, especially on Highway 50, was when they started putting utility lines, they had to stay 7 foot off the fence. Well, then the next person went 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot. We ended up 23 feet out away from the fence, and we started hitting utility lines. So we have that issue too. Every one of them wants to put in their own trench. I do know we've got a spot here on Remington 240th, 250th. We have 2 fiber lines in they're separated different companies. We need them lowered because we need to dig the ditch for flood. It's the place where floods all the time. And they're in the process of working on it, and I said, well, maybe they could go to a combined bore, combined trench, whatever the case may be, to try to help that situation. So, you know, I'm willing to work with them, whatever
Yeah.
else. So, but yeah, those are things we always work on. And it seems like even with the permits and everything else, and when the guys actually go out there and put them in, they put them in the easiest place they can. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's, yeah. So, but that one on, that was on Vista, I think. wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I called him up and said, why would you put it right there? I mean, it just didn't make any sense. So,
Yeah.
but, so, yeah, we can sure look at that. Yeah. Maybe we put that in there on the written portion, that any bores going through the roadway shall be cased with at least twice the size of the line. So we have to write that in. So, okay. After last week, I checked into that mower stuff. I checked with K-Camp, and he said, I mean, if you want to do things quicker, have it over with, we could still submit the payment back to K-Camp, and they could submit it through us, since essentially the salvage value was done with them. I mean, that was they just asked, and that's what we said. So if you want to do that, if you still want to go with sealed bids, it doesn't make a difference either way. So, and just maybe, I don't know if you guys have talked about, you know, whether you made a decision or whatever else, if you want to go that way in the future. I know you kind of talked about it, but anyway, it's up to you guys, whatever you want to do. So
So you're saying it's K-Camps to sell?
yes.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Well,
Because we got the payment from K-Camp, sorry.
yes.
But,
yeah.
but they've already subtracted that out.
Yes.
And they're putting it in the county's hands if we want to sell it. Now, I think what Bryce is saying is that we could change that and have it to be just through K-Camp,
Yes.
which might be the best bet at this point. But, or we do the sealed bids, and then whatever we get goes to the county, because K-Camp has already reduced that salvage out of our check. And we got paid $100 or $200,
Well,
so.
Yeah. And the reason I said that is that we didn't advertise whatever else. He just asked me what this was. I told him, and he said, okay, sounds good. And so I guess maybe that was something we need to work on. I mean, talked about doing the sealed bids or whatever else. So
I think going forward would probably be the right thing to do, and it would take out any kind of discrimination. But this one needs to be dealt with, so.
You already have a precedent set on it, and now you're gonna go back and make an exception to this one?
No,
Okay.
what I'm saying
So
is
now
it needs to be dealt with on our end. I'm saying going forward, if we can let K-Camp deal with it, then let them deal with it, and we don't have to pick winners and losers.
I just put it up for public auction. Take a private, get a date 2 weeks from now, and
For sealed bids.
for sealed bids, yeah. Yeah.
okay. Do you want to come back?
Sealed bids will be right up here.
Okay.
So what about the new one?
The new one I checked. The price they gave us is basically the government contract price that you would get to any of those hustler dealers. So
We don't wanna put that up for bid?
It basically,
going up for bid, you'd have to basically specify other brands and other whatever else. So that's what we talked about last time. Cause like he said that price he gave him is like going through the source well. It's the same price throughout the state of Kansas.
So why would you have to put in other manufacturers and stuff? If you're bidding for a particular item, why do you have to? Why do you have to? Where's the law that says you have to do that? I mean, I never heard of that before.
Well, the only way you're gonna get a different variable price than what he's saying is, you know, some distributors lock their salespeople and say you have to sell our item for this much. And that doesn't matter if you go to Heston's dealership or to Hillsborough's or anywhere, so they don't compete against each other.
Okay, so
And
that's
so they
good.
make it that way.
Yeah, and
in their own
these
company.
government contracts, it's like with our heavy equipment, they don't make a lot of money. I mean, it's basically just helping out the counties or the government agencies. They sell it just a little bit above cost to cover their expenses of getting it here and stuff to that effect, so.
There's a volume game played in there too.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And of course, they realize too that the equipment out there, they get parts and service and everything else behind that, so. But like I said, if you want to specify something else, then we'd have to go out and basically specify like with any other equipment, we want certain size of motor, certain size of deck, zero turn.
I thought we was replacing.
Why wouldn't we do that?
we're replacing in kind though. That's what we had decided to do, so.
Yeah.
I think going forward though, it needs to be, every dealer in the county needs to have an opportunity.
So if you have a Hustler mower here and a Grasshopper dealer down here, and he turns in a bid for a Grasshopper same size, this and that, Grasshoppers may be higher than XL, how are we just gonna then look at that then, whatever bid we get in?
Whatever he specifies, whatever we would get in, that would be a low bid.
It goes pretty deep, because then you got your gauge steels. I mean, you've got your rigid construction versus your suspension construction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah. It's the same thing I face with bigger equipment too, trying to, you know, how far can you specify? Some of them may or may not, without doing a lot of research, you may not know what the deck steel is or.
And if you base your spec off of one distributor, that distributor's gonna get it. It's because everybody else has probably got a little more in here, a little more there, but they don't have everything exactly.
That's the other thing is the more you specify, the more you can eliminate, or you will eliminate.
Competition.
But I don't care either way, so.
So I guess I disagree with just a little bit of what you said, the way they have the prices set, because just speaking from personal experience, when we bought an air conditioner and heating unit for the house up here just last year, we went with a Lennox model XYZ, whatever it was. We contacted all the Lennox dealers, and there was huge differences in their prices.
You're
Same
talking about
product,
heating- you're talking
exact
about
same
heating and air.
product, same model, everything.
Yeah,
So
I'm
you
not
can-
saying that it's across the board that way. I'm saying there's certain distributors that will lock you in.
Okay.
And there is, it happens on certain distributors on electrical stuff. They don't allow their shops to compete with each other.
But on government contracts, the set price statewide.
Yeah, this is, like I said,
How about-
this is government only.
How about
you
a
know,
Ford
so.
pickup in Dodge City? It'd be the same price as the bought one in Wichita on government contract?
Yes.
I mean,
That's why-
It's set by Ford Motor Company.
And that's why, you know, I found out in hindsight that when Ford bid our trucks that we just got at the end of last year, nobody else really wants to bid it because they hardly make anything. I mean, they give them a couple $100
Yeah.
to get them delivered and get them prepped and sent out. So everybody else says, hey, it's not worth our effort if we're selling vehicles elsewhere. So, and like I said, with this, the same thing with motor graders. If we go with Sourcewell, we call them up, say we want we want whatever it is. They'll bring it out here, here's your price, the same price you'll pay throughout the state of Kansas, because those are all already agreed to ahead of time.
So,
There's
all the
certain
Hustler
items
dealers-
that are locked in like that.
So that's actually eliminating fair competition.
Well, it's eliminating competition within the brand, is what they're doing, within the brand. So.
See, that, for instance, Ford gave us X price, if Chevy comes up with a different price for the same thing was specified, that's where you have to start comparing apples to apples, did they have all the same things that you requested?
So yeah, your Chevy.
Yeah, so I still disagree with that, because even when I had the auto parts store, everybody carried the same ignition parts. If I wanted to make 30%, like everybody else did, this was all of our prices, and we had price sheets to go along with it. But if I wanted to reduce it down to where I only make 25% profit, that's my privilege and my right to do that.
But this
Right,
is a
but
government program.
But you're not locked in by any distributor. You aren't barred to only carry their product. You could shop across brands. And if you can do that, then you're allowed to set your own margins. But if you're locked into carrying one brand, you get locked in to get that special premium rate from the company. You're promoting their name. You're not promoting your name. You're promoting these things. So that's how they keep their products from being dwindled down with no margins.
It's crazy. That really ties the hand of not only the consumer, but the business owner.
Or you can shop a different brand.
I mean, back to the mower
Exactly.
thing. You know, we'd have to decide, there is a difference between grasshopper and hustler, but, you know, one's better here, the one's better here, so.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got other hustler mowers.
I mean, I don't know who else is in the county, but the other thing you look at is, I mean, there, as far as these zero turns, there's probably 10, 12 different models out there.
In the county, yeah.
Well, I don't know in the county, but I mean, the other ones I don't know anything about. Maybe they're better, maybe they're not. Again, I don't know. That's the problem with specifying the equipment is.
So last meeting you took action, you made a
Yeah.
motion and voted to bid on the same mower and the same brand and the same model number. So
But
are
based
you
on
saying
that-
you can't do that?
No, they were just asking whether we could go out and bid that and get a different price based on that same mower. And that's what I found out was when we called it, was it's a state government price, so. So based on that, it would say we would go get the same mower for that price and.
Now, this is a little different situation than just, oh, my mower's wore out, we need to go bid a new one. But I think when we get to that, I'd be in favor of opening it up to all the dealers in Marion County that sell
Okay.
similar
Well,
items. They're gonna be
Just
different
replace it.
name brands.
To replace this, you don't have,
Yeah.
no.
So, you know, we're talking about two different issues
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
Right.
So all I needed was basically the approval to go with that mower at that price. And so based on what you said last week, that's what we would go with.
What is the price?
So,
Like $6,900 and some dollars. And if he could find,
What? I thought it was higher than that.
no, that was for the other mower,
No?
the bigger one.
Okay.
Whatever those sheets he had. And then if he could find one through another dealer, we wouldn't get charged $250 shipping. So we just had to get a approval to him for that.
I make that motion to go ahead and, if that price is right, 69, that's what you're.
It's like 69.
And purchase that mower.
Second.
From,
Got a motion and a second?
that's from,
Clark first.
CarQuest.
CarQuest.
yeah.
Okay. Motion and a second?
Maybe if Jonah just brings a trailer, he could bring it over with him.
I can
You might
probably
use
do
it,
that.
Right.
might use it first.
Yeah, right next door, you know. So.
Yeah, I gotta make sure it's quality.
Gotcha, yes.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, so we're gonna go with just one particular mower from one
It's-
particular company.
It's just replacing the same one that we had, doing the same
No
thing.
bids or no, nothing. That's what we're gonna do.
Buying a government contract.
I got that.
Yeah, I mean, if they can't bid against each other, then I don't know what else to do. So, all those in favor? Aye.
I,
5-0.
All right, we're continuing the Lost Springs cleanup. I don't know whether we're gonna get done today. Working off we're around the house now. Hopefully we'll get 2 loads with a big semi trailer. We're also using our smaller dump trucks, to get stuff out of there. So hopefully we can, tomorrow at the latest, we're hoping, good weather, so continue to work on that. We're also hauling rock over on the limestone, or the Falcon rebuild over there. I did get the NRCS water, or the bank stabilization contract out last week. We have copies of it down in the office. We also put it in the paper. We are going to go back and modify that in the paper to make it a boxed specific area. They just put it in the public notices. Has about half of it down here, and then way back up on the top of the line has the other three, so we're gonna put it all together to make it a little bit more better for advertisement. But I've also faxed the information to several contractors around just to make sure we do get some people looking at it. So I will let you know that. Hopefully I get the 9-lock one turned around this week too. So other than that, anything else?
How many days of demolition, if you would have 2 more days up there, how many days are we gonna have involved in this project? Are they full days?
For the most part, yeah. We have done Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, today, and then tomorrow if we need to.
Probably 7 days or 8?
Well, I'm hoping that the 6 days.
6 days.
Yeah, because obviously Wednesday was a holiday, but just a lot of material, and we checked again several places. We can't find people who want to take dumpsters up there. It's just so far away from everybody. So, but that's why we're using our smaller trucks, just trying to get the material out of there. So, but we're keeping track of all that, and Toby, the state man, is there. So it's actually going pretty well. The resident is, I mean, not happy with it, but I mean, he is accepting it. So, but it's now up to him not to repeat performance. So, anyway, so.
So Bryce, can you give me, back to the lawnmower, can you just give me a little, in a nutshell, rundown as to the condition of that used lawnmower? I mean, does it have major issues, the one we're trading in?
Yes.
Or the one we're selling, I'm sorry, the one we're
Yes,
for bids?
yes. The deck was damaged. One of the spindles on the left-hand side was damaged. One of the brackets raising the deck up was damaged. The front wheel spindle was damaged, as well as the frame was bent about 1.5 inches out of.
Okay.
So
I just had
it's-
somebody inquire about it, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what condition it was in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could get a report, but they were actually, I guess.
It was hit by a truck, right?
That's when you hit by the car, yeah. The Hustler, they actually took it over there to have them look at it. Hustler, Excel, whatever else, actually sent their engineers up to look at it, because they said, hey, we've never had this happen. You know, as just first looked, it didn't look too bad, but they put it up just like you would on a car on a rack, and you could actually see the difference in the spindles and everything else. I mean, they had quoted $5,800 to get it fixed, so, you know.
So how will we publish that for bids? I think that's the way we did it before. Okay,
Mhm.
all right, thank you.
Yep. So,
Seal bids up here?
Yeah, steel builds up here.
So we want to spend $50 to sell a $200 mower.
well,
Yeah, that's what it's gonna do.
so when do you want it coming in, the first week of December then?
Yeah.
Would that be the 7th, 6th, 7th? Okay, anything else? Oh.
You might give a short report on the Unruh project.
I'm gonna take my hoe from Lost Springs over to there to do the pipe work. Talked with Sharon, and if we go back with the pipe, same elevation, do not change the dam, we will not have to have a permit through the county. The state is not gonna require one either, as long as we do the same thing. And then the tree removal is not a problem. So I'm hoping that if we can get done with the excavator over there on Lost Springs, we'll go over there and do that. Probably a day for both the pipe and the tree removal. Should go fairly quick. Then we'll start hauling rock. So, all right.
Is this gonna take care of all the problems?
Yeah, is that, I mean, are we?
It's satisfying to the landowner. I think the commissioners made a decision that it's satisfactory. I think that's about as far as you're gonna go. Plus, that allows us, once we get this done, we can go fulfill the state requirements to get that other pipe taken out.
And then are we going to gate that off, or?
Well, that will be a decision. They'll have to come back to the commission whether they want to close or vacate the road, along with 300 down there east of Diamond. So, I can bring that up. All right, thanks.
Probably ought to have a plan in place before the culvert is removed. That's just my thoughts. Anyway.
Here's that summary sheet for you to sign on those.
Okay, the summary sheet of all the grand total payday reimbursements. Maybe I should have taken your recommendation, Randy. Put that executive right in here.
We'll get a hold of Deidre and see if she's available.
If she's not, is anybody opposed to?
Well, you probably won't have Brad available for that
Okay.
at this time, because he usually
Oh, yeah, that's right.
isn't available
We-
till
we-
later.
We
so.
could do that, we could go in for a quick one and so everybody hears the situation.
Okay.
And then maybe the commission would not like to go any further than that. I just feel that it's something that needs to be addressed by the board.
Well, we could all be on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, and then maybe you could ask for what legal counsel would provide for this situation, because
Is anybody opposed to an executive session with just the board
and board and Tina.
and Tina?
And to have her bring that in and explain what happened, or show us what it is with personnel.
Well, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know what to call the executive for, so.
Personnel.
Personnel performance.
Personnel performance, yeah, I mean, would you agree, Tina, that it's performance? I mean, it's,
I think so.
yeah, I think that's,
Personal performance. Anything else in particular?
it's been turned into the law enforcement and law enforcement said,
It is a specific issue that pertains to a specific employee and it affects how, and them doing their jobs. So
Yeah.
I think it would be under
Yeah.
personnel performance.
Okay. Anybody want?
I'd say 5, 10 minutes would be probably just to hear what it is and see, you know. I've heard about it, and they call me directly, but I want everybody to know
Okay.
what's going on.
I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss, item number 1, personal matters, non-elected personnel, for 10 minutes with board Tina, pursuant to KSA 75-4319. Second.
For number 1, for personnel matters. Okay.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay. So we'll be back at 9:53.
That's right. It's went out of our hands, that's all I was.
I just always walk the other way and see them
Well, that's, if you can.
This
but
conference
your-
will now be
One
recorded.
of your children and stuff.
Yeah.
right?
in a small store like that.
So in a grocery store?
We're on camera now, guys.
Johnson.
All right.
Gas
I don't know
Store.
what that is.
Out of
It's a gas
executive
station.
session, no action
It's on
taken.
the highway.
Oh, I didn't go down there.
The gavel.
Okay.
It's a little bitty place.
Somebody took it away.
What?
My gavel.
Yeah, oh, it's
Yeah, we buy gas and
Oh, okay.
pop
All right.
in here.
So
And
moving
beer,
on.
that's all you buy there.
Need to have
Place to buy alcohol.
another
That's what-
executive
beer.
session at 10:30
No place else.
that
Had to go to Marion.
we've already had on the agenda, so. Or already made before on the agenda.
Okay, so we're gonna do an executive session around at 10:30.
At 10:30. All right, I didn't get back on, so tell me if.
Okay,
available
sorry.
or not.
Can you repeat, no action of a consecutive session? I
Oh.
didn't have the audio on.
All right, sorry. The audio was off, but I stated that we were out of executive session and no action taken.
Thank you.
Oh, let's see.
Dr. Hudson, sir.
Yeah, it's Deidre.
Deidre, are you on the meeting?
Could take a 5-minute ladder to get there.
She's not there.
Dr. Hudson, talk.
See, Dave, if we look that way, we can't see the camera.
Yeah. Well, when you're watching a film, it's got the camera there. I can see the top of his head. Then they made it move.
The glare.
All right, I texted her to see if she's just about ready to be on. Sorry.
As far as KDHE shows, we had 316 total confirmed
Okay,
cases.
I think Deidre's on.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute our microphone in here because I think when people on the call are talking and it's coming through that,
Oh,
it's
it's
kind
echoing.
of echoey, so.
Yeah.
If you all have a question, I'm gonna have to unmute us,
Okay.
but,
Okay, very good.
so as soon as you're ready to.
Yeah, Deidre, go ahead. We postponed the COVID update knowing that you were on, so.
Okay. As of 8 o'clock this morning, we had 243 confirmed, 119 probable, 85 active, 1 hospitalization, and 2 deaths. You all should have received an email with a letter attached from Tiana Gaines, healthcare provider of Marion. And I believe Dr. Hodson is on. So he can kind of give you his thoughts, and if there are any other healthcare providers that helped to craft this letter, they may want to speak also.
Did you said 85 active how many deaths?
2.
2. Okay.
When was that letter sent? Was it sent by email or? I don't know that anybody.
Yesterday afternoon,
Oh, so you have it?
yeah.
I don't have it.
I got
have it.
an email.
I know I had talked to Tiana on Saturday, and I think she was gonna send it Sunday.
I don't see.
If one of you that got it can send it to me, I can print that.
Diane Novak,
I will
Jonah
forward
Gary,
it.
me, Deidre. I don't know who that is.
I can send it to you unless,
I never received anything.
I don't see her name on
What
it.
time did it come? You see it there, what time did it come? What time did you get it?
Saturday.
At what time?
Sure here.
Jonah, did you get it?
Yeah, I got it on. Are we unmuted?
Saturday 11/4, but I don't see a time.
Are we still muted?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Depends
I got it on Saturday.
Okay.
11:14, but I don't know what time.
Yeah, 11/14.
I got the date.
So those of you everybody should have received it, and I'm hoping that if you did, you read it. And Dr. Hodson, do you kind of want to
I
give
don't
them
even
the
get
gist?
Somebody put a C in here.
Oh, yes, DNOVACK.
Oh,
That's why you didn't get it.
I didn't get it either.
And Kent's name's not on there.
Yeah. I did forward it to Tina, so hopefully.
You wanna forward to Diane so she'll have when she gets home?
No, I'll let Tina do that.
Okay.
That way I'm not sharing hidden information.
Well, I wondered how come it wasn't printed out here like Rex's letter was.
Rex just came this morning.
Yeah, could be. But that was
Will
it.
Dr. Hodson
That was it.
speak on
Yes, I think everybody in healthcare right now is pretty much behind the 8 ball. Tiana reached out to me about this and did the legwork of getting permission to put all these different providers and doctors' names on the letter, and all of them are wholeheartedly behind every measure that we could possibly take to slow down the spread of COVID right now. As I'm sure you're aware, nationally, locally, pretty much everywhere in the world, we're having another significant spike. If you look at the numbers of how the spike is going, clear back 2 months ago, we were predicting that the peak was probably going to be in December for this area. It looks like it's definitely starting now. It's getting bad enough that if you go to pretty much any store in Marion County right now, the chance that you're going to run into somebody that has COVID in that store probably is somewhere between 5 and 20%. That means every 5th person you walk by might actually be spreading COVID. We're in a situation where if everyone does not wear their mask in establishments when they're within 6 feet of someone, that they are basically unknowingly going to spread it to the next person. Right now, many of the cases are family. Someone gets it somewhere, takes it home, gives it to people in the family, and then before everyone in the family knows it's in the house, those people go out and give it to someone else. So it becomes an exponential math problem. If everyone today decided, I'm not leaving in the house, I'm staying home, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not going to do anything for the next month, the numbers would continue to rise probably for the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's with zero activity. That's just because of how the exponential numbers work at this point. There's a lot of people out there that have been exposed, don't know it, will get it in the next few days, give it to their family members in the following week or two, and there it goes. It just gets worse with every few days. So we're asking for a mask mandate simply to try to get everyone involved. It's been very disheartening to me to go places now where not only the public, but sometimes the proprietors aren't wearing masks. And in my mind, that's irresponsible behavior. We're at the point in time where the only responsible thing to do is to put on the mask if you're within 6 feet of anyone. And the masks don't even help if you're in a real close proximity for a long period of time. I mean, I don't know how much you've read about international literature, but there was one area overseas in Asia where one person positive gave it to 90 people on his business floor because the ventilation system was a recirculating type, and there was no filter on it. Anyway, things like that happen. It's going to happen. The problem of getting it individually is not the problem, because most of us will be fine. But our healthcare system is basically becoming inundated. When I worked last week, we had people in the hospital with COVID. One of them was bad enough that he should have gone somewhere, so he could have had a ventilator available. It ended up he didn't get to go anywhere for 4 or 5 days because nobody would take him. Finally, someone did. But it's a situation in another 2 to 3 weeks. It's predicted in Kansas and pretty much all the Midwest that we're going to be triaging people to decide who gets ICU care and who doesn't. And that's ultimately going to mean people waiting on the sideline that might die because they can't get ICU care. That's unacceptable in my mind, and I think we need to do everything possible to try to stop it. That's all for me. Do you have any questions?
Doc, I don't have a question.
Randy.
I just have a general feeling that I can guarantee you that I'm probably not gonna like having to wear a mask everywhere, and I forget to wear my mask someplace. But I think the general public is telling us what has to happen somewhere. We also have a letter sitting here on the table this morning from a person that is a local rancher out here. For me to tell that local rancher out here to put a mask on out on his farm, I have a real problem with that. But yet in the same token, with that local rancher, which I know goes to a lot of cafes, or not cafes, eating places. And so we go in there and they're no different than anybody else in our town when they go into a place of established business and things like that. So do you have any recommendations on a mask order that's reasonably? I think Kent had a real good suggestion last week that if he was to put one on, I think he stated something like maybe strongly to have somebody say, when you come in my business, you put a mask on, but yet a small business don't have people to do that either, as he suggested. Is there any possible thing that you're hearing that's different than just saying put a mask on everywhere?
Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about as far as a rancher goes. I mean, if you're out in the open air, there's no reason to have a mask on unless you're face-to-face talking to somebody within a few feet of them.
Well,
So, you could explain that situation, but I think that's the crux of the matter. You don't have to have a mask on if you're not close to someone. If you get within 6 feet of them, or if you're in a building breathing the same recirculated air, definitely you should have a mask on, even if you're more than 6 feet from them, and especially if you're in that same space and same air with them for a prolonged period of time, like hours during the day at work.
Okay.
And Randy, on July 2nd, Dr. Hudson and I had requested a mask mandate, and so we do have some verbiage. Other counties have verbiage, and then again at the end of the month, Brad, I'm not sure if Brad is in the meeting right now, but he had, together we had drafted a resolution, and when we presented that to the commission, there were a lot of words that were to be changed. So therefore, it kind of took out the reason for resolution, or it kind of defeated the purpose.
Okay.
But I really think, I mean, I have some other facts. Are there any other providers on that would like to speak right now? Because I know your time is valuable, and I want to give you guys a chance to talk. Otherwise, I've got some facts for Marion County.
Yes.
I think everybody's working. I don't think they're on the call.
So.
Okay. All right. Well,
the only thing I got to add, Deidre, is we kind of flying blind here, and a lot of times I appreciate that. That way I can't spill the beans on where cases are or where they're coming from. But if we had that information, we could make a better educated decision on the matter.
okay.
As far as statistically on, what areas, I know I can look on KDHE and I found cluster there, but there's other locations that I hear around the community on where they're coming from, but I don't know. I've never been told anything officially. And so it's just really hard to thread the needle on this without having all the information.
So would that really make a difference? Would you do a mandate for, say, Hillsborough and not for Lincolnville? I guess the specifics are not, and Dr. Hudson can kind of address that. I think I do have some facts on like positive tests and percentages on certain days and times. Like the 26th, we had 6 positives of October out of 30 tests, so we were at 20%. On 11/2, we had 11 tests out of 25, which took us up to 44%. On the 8th of November, we had 6 out of 14, which gave us 42.86%. On the 9th, we had 6 out of 13, which gave us 46.15%. And our 2-week percent positivity rate from 10/25 to 11/17 is currently 18.5%. Out of 459 tests, there are 85 positives. So we are in the red. School buildings, on Marion Elementary, 13 students out. Marion High School, 48 out. Hillsborough, 39 out of the elementary, 60 staff and students out of the middle and high school, and Center, 35 out, and including 1 whole grade. So I think we have come to a point that it's all over the county.
Right now.
So.
Go ahead, Ken. Hold on, Deidre.
Deidre, those numbers that you're giving us about students, are those positivity rates or are they quarantine?
They are isolated and quarantined students. So that means they're out.
Yeah, but that's not telling me how many of those students are positive. Might be one student, and then the whole grade is out, correct?
Right, so that shows how even one student affects, or one person in a workplace affects the business.
So are all these schools, are they all, none of them have an exception to the mask rule, right?
No, at this time, now the state is thinking about changing their quarantine guidelines, and there are some counties that have overridden the guidelines, and schools, if the students have had, or the contacts, a positive case and a presumed contact, both are wearing masks, the contact doesn't have to quarantine. But right now in Marion County, and Dr. Hodson can maybe address that as to what his thoughts are about if individuals are wearing masks. Currently that doesn't get them out of quarantine, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, our original recommendations to the school were not to quarantine an entire class or an entire group when one person was positive, but to quarantine the people in that patient's or in that student's cohort. So like if they had a small group of 10, and most of the classes are pretty small now, that those could just be kept apart from the rest of the school rather than staying home. And they would have masks on 100% of the time if they weren't in that cohort, and would not expose anyone outside of it. Now, this is a sneaky disease, and kids are kids, so that's a really difficult thing to do logistically. Addressing a little bit what Jonah was talking about, knowing where the cases are so you know what to do. I mean, it's not like you're going to put on a mask and go in someplace because you think there's more cases there. This is an invisible disease. At this point, you should treat every person you meet that you don't live with and treat them as if they have it, because there's no other way it's going to slow the spread of the disease unless people do that. Nothing else works.
I have a question, Deidre.
Oh, just a second, I'm sorry. Now you can.
Oh, I have a question, Deidre. There's already a mask mandate in Marion, which from what I've seen isn't followed very closely. Hillsboro's talking about a mandate. Every city in this county that's incorporated could adopt their own mandate. That would mean then that the county would just be dictating to the rural areas, basically. And then we get into the question that we had from a rancher. He's out with the cows all day long, and does he have to have a mask on?
Yeah.
And
So
That shouldn't be a question. That rancher's question should not be a question. People need to be educated that, we don't want you wearing your mask driving to town. We want you wearing your mask when you get out of your car and get face to face with someone.
Right. Now, the other, and to say that, I mean, I know you're on trying to get a mask mandate, and that's why you don't see the value in the locations as far as what I'm asking. But, so, the other places that I've heard about or have been able to look up on KDHE are also masked facilities, just like the school. They're already masked facilities. This is concerning to me because I don't want to make the problem worse. I don't want to say, well, it's working so well in a masked facility, let's throw more masks at it. You know, that wouldn't be the logical choice to do. You wouldn't add gasoline to a fire that you started with gasoline if you wanted the fire to go out.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, no, what I'm saying is the masked facilities are having the huge upticks, and they're having record spikes in the county. And a lot are due to masked facilities. So to say we add more masks, that's going to help the situation when it's already causing our uptick.
You're saying that? You're saying that you think masks actually make the problem worse?
No, well, in a way, because there's a false sense of security sometimes that goes along with that, where I would normally stay 6 feet away from somebody, but with the mask, then I go to a place I wouldn't have went to.
I think that if you really look at businesses, people who are consistent, the healthcare system is a very good example of this. They see positive constantly, and they're able to control that by wearing masks. I mean, I think offices or businesses that have worn masks, that's why their numbers are down when they get cases within their business.
This is Dave. Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Where are people? Where's this coming from? You know, our experiences or our cases came from outside. People going to weddings, family gatherings, groups of people. Nobody that I know of has caught it in a restaurant or in a school. You know, the kids getting it, you probably caught it from somebody at home. And when you're tracing, can you tell where it's coming from?
Yes, a lot of this is coming from adults who have attended events, or there's adults that are within this county that work outside of this county, and some of those facilities have had it within their facility. So it is, we have had a percentage of people that have attended events, or if you look on KDHE map, and I know you don't like that map, but you can look how many private events or has it in there.
So, I mean, I guess my personal experience, we had it 2 weeks ago, and it came from 3 different locations. And we had 5 people come down with it. 2 of them got it internally for one person before we got it stopped and got them out of the place. But the rest of us, 20 people, could keep on working because we were all tested. We had 20 negatives and 1 positive. And, you know, a quick reaction, I feel, you know, Jonah's thing is school. I don't feel the kids are getting it in school, they're bringing it to school from the outside. So masks are a good thing in school. Just as a layman term.
Well, I guess I just
You disagree with me?
Well, no, I'm seeing an uptick in mass facilities, and
Well, it's because everybody from the outside, we were safe, we were masked.
but okay,
And
so
then 3 people went, one weekend went someplace.
let me take it one
3
step.
different groups came up
I
together.
think
Let me
part
take
of-
it one step further then. How does our mask mandate provided we put one on.
Or if they went to these
Stop
facilities,
them from bringing it back to your
they
office.
should have been wearing masks when they went to those
Right,
facilities.
but our boundaries stop at the county lines. So
But
how do we,
It's kind of like the dentist, he tells you should brush your teeth every day.
Right.
So we're trying to create good hygiene habits. And it
I
becomes
think part
becomes
of
a
this-
habit.
But, you know, we've always been
Have-
told that the mask is not to protect you, it's to protect the other person, not you.
But they changed that though.
They've changed that, okay?
Well, they have.
well, there is, to be truthful,
Can I
there
comment
is
on
some data that come out that does show that there is some positive
It goes two
for
ways.
yourself for the mask. There has been. I've been staying up on this.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
wearing a mask in here
don't think
to
I just
protect
want to throw this
myself.
out. I've
No,
been
I-
staying up on it.
I know why Randy's wearing his, because he's
Deidre,
bound by law.
Can you tell me what percentage of tests are rapid tests and what of them are, and what percentage are the, what do they call them, antigen tests? Are we using more rapid tests now?
We have PCRs that are rapid tests, and the statistics that I gave you are just PCR positive and the PCR test. But if you look on our probables, those are either antigen tests or closely related to like a household contact that chose not to be tested but have symptoms. So the statistics that I was telling you on those dates, those are only PCR tests.
And there's been
Did that answer?
there's been a lot of conflicting information on PCR tests. The biggest one that came out last week was Mr. Musk of Tesla that took four PCR tests in one day using the same machine with the same personnel, and he got 2 positives and 2 negatives. And so it's just, there's a lot of conflicting information out there about the use of that test from what I can my research.
There is a lot of conflicting information, and there are good tests and bad tests. The problem is some people do not produce enough of that virus in the areas we test, like in their nose, that they actually are easily detected. Some people, it's the second day after exposure and a couple days before they have symptoms, they're positive. There have been cases, even in Wichita, where they've been hospitalized for 2 or 3 weeks, had 4 or 5 tests. Everything on the lab showed that they had COVID, and they had COVID pneumonia, but they never had a positive test. The test is really irrelevant in what, for what we're talking about. We're trying to keep people from getting sick enough that they have to go to the hospital and use the resources that just aren't going to be available in the next few weeks. We're definitely concerned that we're going to be triaging people to die. That's not a fun thing in medicine. And there's only one proven way to slow that down in a community, and it's masks. If people don't wear them when they're around other people in a community with COVID, they're irresponsible, period. And that's my opinion.
And I have to consider, we're coming into the flu season where hospitals get patients that have the flu, may have a heart attack, may have strokes, victims of accidents. If hospitals are filled with COVID patients or ill patients, there's not going to be room for those who have heart attacks, those who have strokes, as Dr. Hodson mentioned before, the ICUs. So I think you really need to consider, be leaders as the Board of Health and show what's responsible. Bottom line, you're right. It is the patrons or the community of Marion County, they will do what they want. It's their responsibility, but it is being selfish to not wear a mask when you're in a large event.
So I got
be at a large event.
well, I got another, and genuine concern. So wearing the mask, yes, I mean, most of the time it protects you, keeps you, but you do get a little virus, right? And everybody knows, depending on your viral load, well, I think everybody should know, but depending on your viral load can determine how sick you are and how much medical need you have to have. So by wearing the mask, are you also not restricting your outflow, creating a higher viral load within your own system, causing you to need
No, that's not true.
higher
That's
medical
not true.
attention? Okay,
That's not true.
Go ahead and explain that one, please.
That's not true at all. Your viral load is your viral load. Having your mask on prevents you from getting as much virus as normal from the person that you're talking to. Your mask you're wearing has virtually nothing to do with making your viral load higher. That misinformation was spread around on the internet, and it's totally bogus.
Okay, I just would like to see, I guess, to see the data on it, just because, I've been going to the Library of Medicine. I've been checking on the virus itself. I've been checking on how it gets into your system, on why certain drugs work and why certain things do what they're supposed to do as far as therapeutics. And I just haven't seen, how a person gets a higher viral load.
The way people get higher viral loads, and the reason early on especially we saw a lot of healthcare workers dying of this disease, was because they were in the face of a lot of people with COVID repeatedly and didn't realize how much exposure they were getting. And if they were doing things like intubating a patient with COVID and didn't have the proper PPE on at the time, they were breathing in huge amounts of viruses. We're talking in the millions and billions of copies of virus. Those are the healthcare workers that got very sick and died. Now the PPE is better. We have better equipment. Almost everyone wears an N95 mask with something over that, plus a face shield. And of course, like you see on TV, a lot of people have the electronic filters that they wear with a helmet, which is even better. But your mask actually will keep you from getting as high a viral load because you're not getting it from the person you're talking to, and that does help make your illness less severe in the long run.
So you can only get viral load from another individual. You can't create viral load by trying to expel it.
Correct.
Then how do
Your
you
virus
pass it?
is
How do you
living
pass it
in
on
your
to somebody else?
How do you pass it on to someone
If
else?
you're not creating a viral load, then how are you passing it on to somebody else? To say that it's not inside the mask.
May I address the commission?
Yeah,
This is Ron Traxon, Superintendent Peabody Burns, and I just want to pass along, I've been sitting and listening, and as far as, and I can't speak on behalf of all the districts, but I can tell you right now, I've got 50 kids quarantined, and all the quarantines are based on outside contact. We have not confirmed any kind of a transmission within the school district. And I would have to say, I attribute that to the fact that everybody wears a mask. And so what we're dealing with is what is outside coming in, coming off of Thanksgiving break really worries me. But I just thought I'd share that as a district, as our district, we feel that the mask, with the mandated mask, is really, we have not had any transmission with that school. All of our quarantining has been from, well, I'll take that back. We've had 2 students that have came in and was positive, but we've got no positives from them because of them quarantining an amount of our students. But the problem is that the positive cases have been confirmed to have been from outside the school district. And so I know that you can't do that with the county, but the thing is, I just want to put my 2 cents in on, if everybody's wearing masks, we could knock this down. In the schools, it has been, a very safe environment, and I just wanted to pass that along. Thank you for letting me share this with you.
And thanks, Ron.
Okay, I wanted to finish with what I was trying to explain to Jonah.
Yeah.
Your viral load starts out at whatever it starts out at. As somebody breathes a little bit of virus on you and they have COVID, that's where you start. Maybe that's day 1. Day 2, your viral load is going to go up exponentially. No matter what you have on your face, you're just going to grow that virus in your nose and on the epithelium of your respiratory tract. By day 5 to 7, that's when your viral load is the highest and when you're the most contagious. But you are contagious early on, just at a lower rate. So your viral load is what it is. It starts out at a level whatever you're exposed to, and then goes up exponentially as you get sick. And then by day 10, those viruses are all dead. You're not transmitting it at all anymore. You're just having the inflammatory reaction to the dead virus in your system. And that's when people get the inflammatory pneumonia and can't get enough oxygen and end up dying or going on a ventilator.
Okay. And you don't see any reason why restricting a way to exhaust some of that viral, especially while it's in your nasal cavity, would hinder in any way?
No, that's totally incorrect. The only thing it's going to do if you don't have a mask on is blow it on other people. It's not going to make it worse for you.
There is a comment on the meeting. Do you want at this
I
point?
haven't seen it. Sorry.
No,
I
that's
was
okay.
genuinely taking in everything he had
No,
to
that's
say.
fine. I was just, since that was done, I was asking if you wanted to accept any public comments right now. There is one on the meeting.
Okay, so somebody is, it's part of the mask mandate discussion, has, Amy Soares has made a recommendation of 30 days.
Yeah, the comment says, try a mask mandate for 30 days. Some people will not like it, but see how things respond, then reevaluate.
So is there any way that as a county, the cities, why can't the cities put their mask mandates on like Marion did? If Burns wants it, Peabody wants it, Hillsborough wants it, I think that's just fine. I would certainly support that. I'm totally opposed to county-wide, because out in the country, to me, that is just asinine. To even expect us to wear a mask while we're out in fields and working cattle and all that stuff. And I don't even
Everybody
wanna
said you
put-
didn't have to.
I'm not talking to you.
I don't think the mask mandate, I mean, we've got to use common sense. The mask mandate would have people wearing a mask when they're within 6 feet and they can't social distance.
So out at the farm, you have people who come to do repairs and come to the farm, you're in those same situations, and you're telling me that then they have to wear a mask. Am I right?
I think
Yes.
most home
Wrong.
visitor, like utility companies, internet, I think, and Randy, you can address this. Don't you, when you go into a household, you wear a mask?
Yes. Well, we don't go in the household no more. We put that at the door,
well.
but yes, our company stands
And-
behind. All
and I think-
utility companies do.
Even say that the house person shouldn't be in the same room they're working in.
So, I mean, with this mandate, are we gonna expect people to carry around papers to say that they're exempt, or they, I mean, cause that's just not up the road that I would feel comfortable going down.
There's common sense gotta be used. I mean, we could talk about this all day long. I think people in Marion County are looking for leadership, and that's why they elected us to this position. And we need to lead and have a mandate, like this health department says, just 6 foot away. If you're by yourself, you don't have to wear one. If you're out in the open air, you don't have to wear one. If you're riding with somebody in a vehicle, you probably should wear one, unless it's somebody you live with. I think there's a lot of common sense, and they're looking for us to be leaders and quit arguing about this and just do it. It's nationwide, and yes, it's against your rights, but how are we gonna stop the spread of the disease?
And who's gonna enforce it?
Each other.
We don't want
I
that.
think,
You're
like
gonna have
Dave
civil war if you
said,
do
as
that.
leaders, as part of the Board of Health, it is your responsibility to do what's right for the health of the public. Are we gonna be able to enforce it? Probably not, but if those people see that as leaders, and if the leaders wear their masks in the public, then maybe more people will think, oh yeah, that is the right thing to be responsible to protect others. That is the right thing to show kindness. I think we gotta get the politics out of this. It's a public health issue.
I'd like to add something to that. I think having the mask mandate on the books would make it a lot easier and more comfortable for proprietors to put up a sign, go tell their clients whatever. We need you to wear a mask to come into this store, facility, whatever it is. Right now, proprietors are somewhat reluctant to confront people when they don't have a mask on. They just don't want to get into it. But I think if they had the law on their side, they at least be comfortable saying, hey, there's a mask mandate. Please do this for us.
Doc Hodgson, you keep talking mask mandate. Is a mask recommendation anyways close to it, or is that like just throwing water out the door? I mean, is a recommendation any good, or does it have to be a mandate?
Well, recommendation does nothing in my mind.
Okay.
It doesn't put any meat behind it for anyone.
No, this is no different than a mandate with no enforcement.
Yeah, mandate with no
It's still
enforcement
just
is
a
gonna be the
recommendation.
same thing.
Okay, so we have a mask mandate on, and in your store, Jonah, somebody walks in and you tell them to put a mask on, and they refuse. What do you expect that store owner to do then? If it was you, and you was trying to abide by the mask mandate, what would you expect to do then? Call the law and ask them to come?
I don't know. I'd just keep the doors locked, I guess. You're picking winners and losers at this point.
Yeah.
Because right now, a business can be pro-mask or it can be against masks. They are making their own decision on how they're going to survive. Right now, you're going to lock it up that they all have to be pro-mask, and then people that don't like it won't shop in these communities. They'll just go somewhere else. So you've actually created winners and losers. And I have a problem with that.
And I will say, as a shopper like that, if I were to walk into somebody's business and they were to tell me that I have to put on a mask, I would say, thank you, have a good day, and walk out the door and go to the next business in this county or in any other county and take care of my business however I have to.
And on the other side of that coin, just being fair here, there are people that we need to be thinking about that are thinking that they will do the same thing if there isn't a mask
That's right.
mandate.
That's
So
right.
they're also viewing it that way.
Yes, and we
So the
have 80
recommendation
some right
is
here.
quite a meet in the middle.
I think I'm going to go back to my beliefs, and sometimes I have to do things sitting in this chair that isn't with my beliefs. But as in the chair that I sat in, what Deidre pointed out, we are the Board of Health. We have to put aside our personal feelings and act as a Board of Health. And this is the time for us to do it. I think it's, all you have to do is look at the tube, and the TV will show you what's coming on around you, look at the states around us, look at the hospitals. Here we have our own health care facility getting to the point to where, and I've heard this from our ambulance director, that there's only certain places now that will accept people that's in our county when we have to ship them off for ventilators. There's only certain places, and some of them, they will not take them till an opening happens. So I think it's time for us, the county commission, to open our eyes up a little bit and step over the bounds here and sort of try to take care, whether we agree as commissioners or not. And also the letter that's in front of us, Tiana Gaines, we've heard from my commissioner, or my school district superintendent down there. These are the people that's pushing me to do what they want to do. And I've had a lot more, even though I still have a few. We had the letter this morning, like I said, from a rancher that was in my district, but it's not now. So with that all being said, and what my constituents in my area are looking for, because we're closer to the cities, we have people live in Peabody that goes to the city every day, and so on and so forth. I can just go on, but I'm going to cut it pretty short here. The last thing I have to say is we all have to wear seat belts. We don't like them sometimes, but we have to do it. And I think that's to protect ourselves and to go on. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to pass a mask mandate in public gatherings of 2 or more till December 31st, 2 or more, or can't social distance of 6 feet apart. 2 or more. 2 or more people.
Social gathering?
Yeah, public gatherings.
So you're canceling Thanksgiving?
Are you just saying that it's a mask mandate for people in public if there are 2 or more people present?
Yes.
That's what he's saying. He's not saying to eliminate mass gatherings over 2. Right, Randy?
Yeah. Yeah. And until December 31st.
I'll second that.
We got a motion by Randy, seconded by Dave.
And the discussion,
Yeah. If we have to change something, like
no,
that.
I think it's good, but Kent has a problem with the public gathering, but it will not affect in your home with your family.
So does this supersede the city's mandates?
That's a good point.
I mean, the cities are just gonna sit back and say, well, let's look at our own community.
Yes,
There's no use us doing anything.
But the cities have their own, that I could use that, but
So I think they can.
Well, I mean, they can pass that,
Yeah.
they can pass their own mask mandate. So
they can put more teeth in theirs if they want to.
me, if the cities each have their own authority, as long as they're an incorporated city, they can pass their own mandate to do whatever they want to do with their own businesses and people that live there.
But we want to protect the people in Holland too.
Well, what we're talking about then is just the rural areas.
We're talking Marion County.
I think that
I don't think you understand.
what you would do if you took this action, it would be any place that doesn't have their own mandate in place already. So if the county passes one, it's countywide, including the cities that do not already have one in.
Okay, and then who are you designated to, or you're gonna designate to enforce it?
Well, I think if
And
there's
where's
a
the fines
problem,
gonna be?
I think that's why I asked that question. Who Jonah would call? It's gonna have to be our sheriff's department.
And you know how much time they have dealing with what they're dealing with.
Well, coffee shops a lot of time.
In light of all that,
I mean, that's their job.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. I cannot have people getting arrested and ticketed.
I think you're not looking at the chair you're sitting in.
I know what I'm looking at.
You're doing your personal preference.
I'm not going on my personal preference. I'm looking.
Yes.
You're looking at everybody, you're looking at the whole picture, so don't be intimidated.
No, I'm. A lot of times I've been moved and budged and regretted my decision by not trusting myself.
So we're done with the health department?
I wouldn't call that a Board of Health action. That was a political action.
Amen.
Sorry. Goodbye.
Oh, that's classic. I don't know. Just, we do need to take this seriously, though. We can't just fight it to fight it.
Well, I'm gonna go one more. I'm pretty close to my family. My family's been affected now by this. Because in a daycare center, a grandchild got exposed. So they're going to their quarantine. And so automatically my Thanksgiving's already canceled. I don't have a choice. I don't want to pick it up in case my grandchild is, and I don't want my grandchild, and they're going to quarantine, so they're going to be out there 14 days. So you was out there 14 days. You know what it's like, Jonah. And you didn't know whether you had it, didn't have it, you didn't expect to, but you was doing the safe thing.
Yeah.
So you did the safe thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do.
And I did do that.
Yes.
And this is point on that. I did do that prior to it being a mandate. It was only a recommendation when I did it. When I started it.
And I think we all know that it's only up to us that we will be the ones to help. I mean, that's what everybody's saying. Is they will. Only we can help slow this down. I mean, it's not great big yet, but it could be next month.
I think we all take it serious, but we as county residents, state residents, residents of the United States of America know that we have a responsibility called personal responsibility. We can't stop people from, there's still gonna be personal choices out there. But personal responsibility is what's gonna end this pandemic.
Yes.
Not any kind of mandate and any kind of anything. It's personal responsibility. I mean, we all know we can't go to some big gathering. You know, and even going out of the county at this point, we have to look at it. Do we really need to go out of the county? But you know, this thing's gonna end when people take responsibility and when we get a vaccine, of course. But
Okay.
we have to
Can I
just have to
say
take personal
something,
responsibility.
because I have to leave. I think it is a personal responsibility, like you said, but it's also the Board of Health's responsibility to take the lead in this and mandate what is right. The law enforcement writes tickets for those who don't wear seatbelts. I guess I'm struggling how this is any different than that. And we aren't even saying, we aren't taking individuals right away. But I mean, who's gonna be left and how many hospital beds are gonna be open if we continue to do what we're doing?
Are there, I don't know, I haven't researched it, but I had heard that there are expanding facilities taking place, like they did in New York, where they put the tents up in the extra care facilities. Are you aware of any of that?
Well, yes, the state of Kansas does have the capability to set up tents like that, but you know, the state of Kansas is a little bit different than New York. We don't have a lot of the resources. There's a lot of rule, like as staff, you know, like Dave said before, it's the people that are going out, they're bringing it in the facilities. I don't know, or the schools or the businesses. It does take the responsibility of individuals. Yes, we do, in answer to your question, there is a tent, our region, our preparedness region can request that. However, if Sedgwick County needs it and Marion County, who's gonna get it?
Right.
I mean, in reality, in a pandemic, you try to save the most lives that you can. And the small communities need to step up and do all they can to prevent this, because we have to look after ourselves.
So Dee, to refresh my memory, how many deaths have we had? Total?
Well, we have two.
Two, okay.
I'm gonna have to go, so I'll let this, you know where Dr. Hodson and I stand, and you know where the other healthcare providers stand, but I'm gonna have to excuse myself, because I
Thank you,
have to
Deidre.
get a few things done.
Thank you, Deidre.
There are several other comments. Do you want those?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the last one we had, I had read the one from Amy. She had two others after. Your enforcement is that you can't go into that establishment without a mask on. You refuse to serve them. And then Superintendent Traxon, he said, "Thank you for allowing me to speak earlier. I did not mean to interrupt. School districts in this county have mandated masks with great success, I believe. Our bubble is challenged by the fact that the community is unrestricted. Anything that will help must be considered."
I'd like to thank Ron for speaking up.
Mr. Traxon, are you still on?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm still here.
There is another message. Is that just supposed to be for me, or is that for the board?
If it's in red.
It's for the, I just, and basically what my last one is why is the recommendation of the health director being ignored? That's a good question, everybody. Why are you ignoring your lead person, who is your health director? And I also asked the question, if this is personal choice, why are we enforcing seatbelt and speeding laws? I mean, there's a lot of laws out there that you can put on personal choice, and it comes down to public safety. And so I just wanted to, before I have to go to another meeting, wanted to pass that along. I'd like for everybody to understand that. And I respect your positions. I understand some of the situation, the situation you're in as far as it representing everybody. But like I said, we have a lot of laws out there that are for public safety. And what you've got is a county health director that needs to be listened to, and you need to understand, or I'm sorry, I don't mean to come across, you need to consider the fact that this is a public safety decision, and not a personal choice, because there's a lot of guidelines and rules that are out there already for public safety. So this is one more that would be limited, I would hope. Didn't mean to get on my soapbox here, but I feel real compelled to say something at this point, because we've worked real hard in each of our districts to deal with this and feel that we provide some safe environments. And quite honestly, that is challenged because of outside situations. And quite honestly, we're going to have to consider each of the districts, who's going, if we try to do some things for our kids and the public isn't restricted to a certain degree. I mean, we're able to do it when they come in the building, but you may see games, you may see basketball season played between teams and no spectators. Now, is that a public or is that a personal decision there? Yeah, we're going to infringe on a lot of parents and grandparents' right to come watch their kids and grandkids, but it's a safety issue for our kids. So And that's not an easy decision on our level either. So again, thank you very much for letting me share with you, and I'll leave it at that. I've got to go to another meeting here in a few minutes. So, did anybody have any questions for me?
No, I do appreciate your comments though.
Okay, thank you.
I have one comment. You know, we got this one letter from a rancher. You go look at their Facebook page, you see that they're wearing masks when they go to K-State football games, they go to their grandkids' sporting events. They're wearing masks when they need to, but they're also not wearing masks when they're out with their dogs and the cattle. So they're using common sense. They're against it, but they are wearing masks to protect other people when they go to other venues. And they are traveling outside of Marion County quite a bit. So they
There's
highly suspicious carriers.
I thought you were saying they're exercising personal responsibility.
No,
That's
they're
where I
not.
thought you were going.
No, they're traveling, but they're wearing masks, so
well,
when they travel.
that goes back to my other point was, I heard of one case the other day, right? Very adamant person. Don't leave the county, stop traveling all over, stop going to all these places, stop doing it.
Yes, sir.
You know, use
I'll take
your
credit for
common
that.
sense. Well, all of a sudden, the mask comes up. That's okay, we're gonna have this event in Kansas City, we'll wear masks. Goes to Kansas City, gets it.
Yeah.
Because of the mask. Without the mask, probably wouldn't have went. You gotta put all that into perspective too. I'm not saying that the mask doesn't work. I'm saying the mask allows you to put yourself into positions where you wouldn't.
If you're gonna get that comfortable by having a mask on, you know, Jonah's right. You're gonna be more apt to travel. Oh, gee, I got this wedding. You know, really close friend. I think with mask on we'll be okay. Well, we know what happened to one family in this community. It was like 28.
I think every wedding is getting exposed now.
So you cancel weddings and live in sin?
Mm-hmm. Like we haven't sinned before.
I don't know,
We just need to move on.
Yep.
Beat the dead horse.
yeah, and no matter, we're gonna have
You want to talk to Brandon?
people mad at you no matter what. Yeah, and we need to go on to that executive. That's something that we can't even forward on.
Is Brad available?
Yeah, he's been waiting for you to call.
Okay.
10 or 15, whichever you think, you know, the situation's well, I do, I don't know.
15's right.
Well, yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You can't say hello.
All right, move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 1 for personnel matters and non-elected personnel. For 15 minutes with the board, Tina, Brad via phone pursuant to KSA 75-4319B.
Second. Go ahead, Ken.
Second. By the skin of his teeth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, so we'll be, excuse me, back at 11:18.
It's not fun. It's not fun when these hot topics come up. It's not fun.
It's gut wrenching.
I'll draft it.
Thank you.
Okay, camera's on.
Screw it up here.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, camera's on.
Hit all the buttons.
Okay. Cameras on?
Yeah, but
Didn't
the
hear.
meeting's coming up now.
This conference will now be recorded.
And audio's on.
All right.
I thought that
Out of
was-
executive session, no action taken. Yeah. So, now it's public comments.
I was just gonna officially concede to David, but he left.
Oh. Well, glad to see you're not dragging it out.
Oh, okay. So I guess you'll have to tell him. We called him the other day.
Yeah?
We're good.
Well,
But you did good, Mike. I mean, he only beat you by 51 votes. That should tell you a lot.
is it 51?
51, I think, was the final count.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
only
51
45.
votes.
We
and
knew it'd
that
be
tells
close.
you that half the people up there like you and half.
Well, if you break the votes down by area, we knew his backyard would support him more than me, and his
Yes.
backyard is bigger. So, I mean, in
That's
my
what it
backyard
was.
and here in Marion, I mean, then it was just right where we thought it'd be.
Is it 51 bigger?
Huh?
Is it 51 bigger?
Well, the city of Tampa was almost the difference in the votes, and I knew I wouldn't probably get any of them, so, and didn't. So.
No, I'm glad you're good sport about it. So, thanks.
Well,
I think you'd have been a better commissioner, though.
oh
You got
no.
my support.
We'll see, I guess. We got, in
I-
time, we'll have him for
I
4
voted
years,
for
we
you.
hope.
So do we have any more public comments? I know everybody's getting back on. It's nice to have somebody in the room because it buys a little bit of time. So if anybody online wants to have a public comment, they got time to get it in.
Well, I don't wanna drag it out for 3 hours and get back on the mask thing.
No.
Don't bring up the subject.
Take care, everybody. It's a nice day.
Okay. Hearing no other public comments, I'll go ahead and close that portion and go on to commission comments. If there is any.
I'd just like to say that no matter how the vote goes in whatever situation, when you walk out the door, we're still a commission. And we're still working towards one thing, that's to work for our public, work for our people. And so I'm happy that, you know, there's every side to both, to every story there is up here. And we all gotta make some tough decisions sometimes, so thank you for doing that.
Wholeheartedly agree. I've been on the losing end of the vote.
Yes, oh yeah.
And it isn't about me. So that's nice to hear. We don't get to elect each other. We just get to work with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's make it work. So, all right. Any other commission comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to
Oh, Amy
adjourn.
Soya said there's no audio. They can't hear anything.
Uh-oh.
That's what she just
Okay.
sent me. No audio on our end.
Okay, everything's on. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
No audio.
Maybe they need to unmute.
Went to a goodbye, I guess we're leaving.
There's no audio.
She says.
So they can't speak?
Says no audio on our end.
Travis says too, everyone, Travis Parmley says audio is working. So maybe it's a problem she's having on hers.
Okay.
So, I don't wanna cut it off. Was there a public comment to be made there or just FYI? I know we moved past it, but it takes a second to go back and forth, so.
Does she have a comment? Did she have a comment?
No, that's all she said to me. Just
Okay.
that one statement.
Okay.
All right, well, hearing no other commission comments and result of the public comments. Go ahead and make a motion to adjourn. Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
So he was quarantined for 3 days, huh?
Well,